Hi, this is Tara McGillicuddy, host of ADHD Support Talk Radio. And I know I mentioned that I probably wouldn't be doing any new podcast episodes because I am super busy producing and planning and working on the online ADHD Awareness Expo. This is the 8th annual online ADHD Awareness Expo. You can learn more and sign up now at ADHDExpo.com. But I decided that I was going to do, or I am doing, a new podcast episode. And if you listened to me a few months back, I had Laurie Dupar on to talk about the history behind her Succeed with ADHD Telesummit. And it was a really interesting episode. So I thought it made perfect sense that I do an episode to talk about the history behind the ADHD Awareness Expo, and we're on to the 8th year. So, this is what I'm going to talk about in today's podcast episode is how the ADHD Awareness Expo evolved, where it came from and what it's all about. So I've been involved with the online ADHD support community for 20 years now. So I first got online back in 1997, started one of my websites, started learning about ADHD. This was about the time that I was diagnosed with ADHD. And back then in 1997, the internet, wasn't that, there weren't a lot of resources on the internet. I think websites themselves just started. I'd been online for 2 years myself, and I was one of the first people. I'm not one of the first people, but early adopter of online technology. I, was in Prodigy and AOL and all that. So I, got diagnosed with ADHD, and as a woman with ADHD and an adult with ADHD, there really was not a lot of support in general or a lot of online support. So I started getting involved in researching ADHD, found web rings, a web ring, which back then, that's how things got connected. You'd click on something and somebody would be part of it, and you go to their site, and somebody must have had a web ring about ADD or ADHD, and I started connecting. I learned about Yahoo groups, which are kind of like what Facebook groups are now, and they weren't even called Yahoo groups back then. They had a different name back then, and that's how people connected as a community. So I came online in 1999 is when I started the livingwithadd.com site. I had Living with ADD as a site before, but it didn't have its own domain. I started adding stories about it. People would submit stories, send them to me by email. I put it up there. I started putting book recommendations up there and connecting people to books that they could buy on Amazon. 2004 is when I started ADDclasses.com, because I was connecting with people online. I had an email list. Hundreds of people were coming to me, or thousands, I'm not sure at that time. So I started ADDclasses.com because I wanted to provide people with a way to connect and learn about ADHD. And I was doing what they called back then teleclasses, which years later, more than a decade later, they're now webinars. So I started doing that, inviting different speakers, and that started getting bigger. In the meantime, I was volunteering for organizations. I became a member of ADA. I don't know when I became a member, but I started volunteering back in 2003, got really involved with them. In 2004, I got the Volunteer of the Year award for the Attention Deficit Disorder Association. So ADD classes started taking off. Really, people were really interested in it. I was helping a lot of people connecting with more and more professionals. Back in 2010, I was still involved with the Attention Deficit Disorder Association, and I was volunteering at a health and fitness expo. This was in Boston. ADA was sponsoring. I think one of the pharmaceutical companies was sponsoring it. And in the meantime, I had connected with Dr. Rory Stern. And he's still online, but he's not doing any ADHD stuff right now that I'm aware of. He's moved on to something else. He and I are still friends, but we were both volunteering in that. We're both local at the same time. He's since moved to a different part of the country than I'm in, but he and I still remain in contact. We're still friends. We still connect on Facebook. So we both volunteered at that. And then I remember I met him for lunch one day, and I said, Rory, I have a great idea. What do you think about taking the Health and Fitness Expo concept and turning it into a virtual online event? So we both thought, yeah, that's great. Let's do it. So he and I partnered on it. So the first ADHD Awareness Expo back in 2010, I co-hosted with Rory Stern. The second year, Rory moved to a different part of the country, had all this stuff. So he basically, he just had so much going on and couldn't, participate in the second year. So the second year, I took it on myself. I changed the format. That's when we started the videos. People signed up, and it's amazing that I am in the 8th year of the ADHD Awareness Expo. We've helped thousands and thousands of people over the years. Each year I invite some of the world's leading experts, and they join me. We do their video recordings via Zoom, which is how we record them, but I can't remember how I think I first recorded them the second year of the Expo, first year of the videos in 2011 with Skype. Then I used Google Hangouts. I've been using Zoom for a few years now, and it's easy. So what I have people do is join me, and we talk about a specific topic about ADHD, and the videos are about 15 minutes long, because last year I had 33 videos during the week, so we keep them bite-sized, and people, for someone with ADHD, when you have 30-something videos, if they're each an hour long, that's going to be way too much. So I keep them ADHD friendly. So that's how it started, and it's become a huge event. People, it's funny, a few years back, I had stuff going on, and I was just so drained. I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to do the expo again. I don't know if I want to do it, because it's time consuming. It can be frustrating, and I have ADHD myself, so the administrative piece doesn't come easy for me, and an event like this takes a lot of organization. So I was just like, oh, it's too big, I don't want to start it. And it was funny, within probably a day or two after that, I had people emailing me, are you doing the ADHD Awareness Expo this year? I found it so helpful. I want to know if we're doing it. My support group and I watched the videos together. It was so helpful. Thank you. So it's okay, I have to do it. Not that I have to do it, but thousands of people were helped by it. So that's when I've been doing it, and it's the 8th year of it, which is amazing. And people expect it every year, and people get together. And in addition, so basically, what is the expo? For those of you who may not be familiar, the big part of it is I'm joined by dozens of ADHD experts, and they share their tips and strategies by video, and you can watch them at your convenience. They're free throughout the week of the expo, and they're also up for a limited time after the expo, because I know people get overwhelmed, watching hours and hours of video, and they want to watch them again. So I do keep them up for a little bit longer, and you can watch them at no cost. There is an upgrade package, because I think I only started offering the upgrade package a few years ago because people wanted to be able to listen to them outside of the expo. So for a low fee, you can upgrade, and you can get all, I think, 7 or 8 hours of audios, because I do convert the videos to audios, and you can listen in your car, podcast, where you're exercising, whatever. So the video component is a big part of it, but we showcase products and services, because there's so many resources out there. There are so many professionals. We have an amazing community. So I also, feature products and services that help people with ADD and ADHD live more productive, happier lives. So we have the videos, we have the Expo exhibit hall. Also, what I started a few years ago is a free virtual online goodie bag. So the speakers and our sponsors donate some really cool gifts that you can download, and they're completely free. You sign up for the goodie bag, it gets emailed to you the last day of the expo, which this year it's going to be on the 7th, and there's charts in there, there's coupons, there's free ebooks, there's like courses, there's like all this cool stuff. So, of course, I had to make it even bigger last year, because I have ADHD myself and I like to add, stuff to make it more interesting. So last year we had daily contests. So we're doing it again this year, if you help promote the ADHD Awareness Expo during the contest, during the expo itself, you can win a prize. Last year I was giving out the upgrade packages. So people, for sharing the expo, not just sharing, people tell what their favorite video is, what they learned. So if you enter the contest, you have a chance of winning an expo package. And this year, because I like to add and change it up every year, I'll probably be adding additional prizes. Oh yeah, almost forgot about the chat room. The chat room's open 24/7. So as you're watching the videos and browsing the exhibit hall and all that, you can interact with other members, because that, I think, is what makes the ADHD Awareness Expo different than the telesummits and the other online events that people put on. You have that live interactive component where you can interact with the attendees. Some of the speakers show up to say hi to. So this year, the other thing I'm doing is, last year I had the videos scheduled at different times throughout the day. This year what I'm doing, to make it so much easier, is each day at noon I'm going to release a set of videos. So Monday at noon you'll be able to watch all those days' videos. Because what was happening, it was just, releasing them at different times through the day. I have people from all over the world, and the time was just confusing people. So this year, you will be able, Mondays when, there'll be 4 or 5 or 6. I still have more, like right now I have a set number of speakers, but more people are joining me. So there might be like 4 or 5 videos you can watch on Monday. Tuesday I'll release additional ones all the way until Saturday, and you'll be able to watch them. And this year, which I haven't announced yet, what people really wanted is to continue that community, that connection after the expo. So this year, anyone who signs up for the free goodie bag will also get a link to to a secret Facebook group for ADHD Expo attendees only. So that'll be sent to you with your goodie bag. With the goodie bag items, it'll be a link. You can sign up on Facebook, and it's going to be a secret group, because I know with ADHD, not everyone likes to disclose they have ADHD and all that. So this will be secret. So, but it'll be a free group that you can stay connected. So I gave you a little bit of the history of the expo and what to expect this year. As I'm looking, I'm like 14 minutes into this podcast, because I'm like, I'm not going to have enough stuff to talk about the expo on a full podcast. But, so ADHDexpo.com, check it out. I'm not sure if I mentioned this. So I've talked about so much stuff, that this is another new thing I've added this year with the expo, is if you pre-register like anytime before October 1st, you'll have access to some free surprise bonus content, which I've never done this before, but I've signed up for a few different telesummits and events throughout the year, and they offered bonus like pre registration bonus content. So I know people, especially when you have ADHD, we want things right away. So when you sign up, enter your email address, you'll be taken to a page with some surprise content. So I'm like, as I'm talking and recording this expo or this podcast, I'm like, wow, this is a huge event. So I'm excited to bring it to you again this year, and I'm really, it's a lot of work, and it can be frustrating, it can be exhausted. I can be exhausted. It's definitely worth it because it helps so many people. I and all the colleagues and everyone that participates in the expo, we are a community and we support each other. So I want to invite you to join me for the ADHD Awareness Expo. As I'm recording this and releasing the podcast, it's September 11th. So there's a few weeks left to register. But if by some chance you found this after October 1st, sign up anyways, because as I said, the archives will be up for a little bit after the expo ends on the 7th, and who knows what I'll be adding after the expo ends, because I like to, keep things interesting and add more stuff, but there's really so much, and I'm excited about the speakers. I have some different speakers this year. We have great topics. If you go to the ADHDExpo.com, you can see all the topics and the speakers, and it's a little bit of everything. All right, so before I ramble and you get bored and stop listening to me, I'm going to end the podcast, ADHD Support Talk Radio Podcast, and I want to thank you for listening. Thank you to those of you who have subscribed on iTunes and subscribed over on YouTube, because I do upload the podcast episodes as a video on my YouTube channel too. So I really hope to see you at the ADHD Awareness Expo. I'll see you in the chat room there, and make sure you sign up. As you're listening, go and sign up, because sometimes when we have ADHD, we have the intention to do something, and then 3 months later we missed it. So sign up now, ADHDExpo.com. You will definitely benefit from the ADHD Awareness Expo. Thanks again, everyone.